They killed Mikey's brothers and now he's out for vengeance. The last Ronin part 2, let's get into it. Okay, so part 1 ended with Mikey waking up and finding out that April O'Neil is still alive, and in this issue we pick up with April having a flashback of the night everything started to go wrong. Her and her soon-to-be husband Casey were going to be having the turtles for dinner, but the turtles were late, and then suddenly Raphael bursted through the front door covered in blood after being ambushed by the Foot Clan. He immediately cleared a table for Master Splinter, who was being assisted by Mikey and Donnie because he was also in critical condition. Once laying him on the table, April, Mikey, and Donnie were panicked, struggling to figure out how to tend to his wounds, while Raphael was heated and focused on getting revenge. When Leo eventually made it to them, April told him that she wasn't sure if Master Splinter would make it, so Leo said that he'd call Dr. Lee. After that, they realized that Raph had disappeared, but unfortunately before we can see the rest of the flashback, the story jumps back to April in present day, putting on her prosthetic arm and legs thanks to the accident. After that, we see Mikey sitting at a table with the ghosts of his brothers. Donnie and Leo's ghosts start arguing with Raph because of how he left them that night, and eventually it becomes too much for Mikey to handle after Raph pokes at him for trying to end his life. He flips out and tells Raph that he's tired of him making their lives all about him, and that his mission in the tower was a one-way ticket to death from the start, so who cares? Shortly after that, Mikey calms down and tells his brothers that he will finish what they started before the story jumps back into the flashback of the night when everything started to go wrong. Raph makes his way through the subways, sniffing out and killing any Foot Clan members that he can while searching for Karai, the at the time Foot Clan leader. When he eventually finds her and the meeting she's having, Raph interrupts it, killing dozens and dozens of Foot Clan ninjas in the process. When Karai realizes what's going on, she demands her men to destroy him, but Raph is unfazed, slicing and outmaneuvering every ninja that she throws at him. He eventually gets stabbed so many times and shot with so many arrows that he starts slowing down a bit, but no amount of temporary pain could stop him in his path, so he continues to put his enemies in the grave until Karai lunges herself in the air towards him. They get into a fierce and blood-filled one-on-one, trading insults as they tear each other apart. Eventually the battle goes underwater, where Raph manages to stab Karai directly in the spine, but Karai also manages to stab Raph directly in the throat, resulting in both of their deaths as we see Raph's sigh sinking in blood-filled water. After that, we jump back to present day where April is surprised to see that Mikey is up, insisting that he should be resting. Mikey soon takes notice of April's arm, and she tells him that it's a souvenir from the last time they saw each other. He is really glad to see her though, after believing that she was dead all this time. She feels the same way and says that they got a lot of catching up to do. After that, she begins making Mikey breakfast and then tells him that his mutation has clearly progressed because now he's bigger and stronger than ever and is healing amazingly fast. She then calls in Casey, which shocks Mikey until he realizes that it's not his old friend Casey. It's April's daughter that she named Casey after her late father, also the same girl that found him in the last issue. Upon introducing herself, Casey reveals that she's been hearing about Mikey her whole life, but she never thought she'd actually be able to meet him. And then the story jumps over to the tower, where Oroku trains against a group of his foot soldiers. When one of them hits him with a clean strike, he compliments them but then slices their throat before ending the lesson. After that, he calls over his captain and tells him that if he doesn't locate and capture the mutant turtle, he will pay the same price as his predecessor who failed to do so, while pointing to a head that's having the meat eaten off of it. After that, our story goes back over to Michelangelo, where Casey and April tell him that they've formed some sort of resistance against Oroku and the Foot Clan before Casey gives Mikey a little tour of the sewer. When they get to the dojo, she tells Mikey that him and his brothers were practically storybook heroes to her, and she even tried learning martial arts because of them. After that, Casey asks Mikey where he's been all this time, and Mikey says that after all the bad stuff happened, he went to the mountains where he eventually trained and mastered all forms of martial arts until it was finally time to come back and restore his family's honor by killing Oroku Hiroto. After that, Casey says that her and her crew are gonna help him do that, but Mikey tells her no because he doesn't want anyone getting killed because of him. But Casey doesn't pay any mind to what he says and expresses that they're helping him no matter what. After that, the story jumps over to April going over to a safe where she pulls out the robotic head of none other than Honeycutt, the longtime ally of the Turtles. But sadly, that's when the issue comes to an end, so let me know if you want to see what happens next by liking and commenting down below.